Last year, the Chinese government promised that it would not rain for the opening ceremonies of the Summer Olympics. It didn't rain, but I don't think the government had anything to do with it. Now, the latest weather modification scheme comes from Moscow, Russia, where the mayor has promised no big snowstorms in his city this coming winter. Now, Moscow is the capital of Russia and its largest city in the extreme western part of the country, at a pretty high latitude, about 56 degrees north. That's roughly the same as northern Alberta and northern Manitoba provinces in Canada. It was surprisingly tough to find a snow climatology for Moscow. They average about 9 inches of liquid precipitation from November to March, when temperatures are almost always below freezing. So if most of that falls as snow and we use an appropriate liquid-to-snow ratio, their average annual snowfall is probably in the range of 60 to 70 inches, which is comparable to cities such as Denver, Albany, and Portland, Maine in the U.S. Several sources claim the average snow depth in midwinter is about 17 inches, so what falls generally sticks around. The plan to keep those big snowstorms from affecting Moscow is to use the Russian Air Force to spray chemicals into the clouds, including dry ice and silver iodide, to try to force the clouds to dump their snow before they get to the city. Just from a logistical standpoint, this would take an enormous effort. The big snowstorms that affect Moscow are similar in structure to those that affect us, just with less moisture to work with, given how far Moscow is from a large body of water. The storms are typically large, low-pressure system with lots of slow but steadily rising air that continuously forms clouds and regenerates snow as fast as it can fall out. The snow at any given point might last 12 hours or more, taking its time to accumulate. Moscow stretches 25 to 30 miles across, which means it would take a huge armada of aircraft to constantly modify a swath of clouds at least that wide heading for the city. Attempts at weather modification aren't new in Russia, nor are they new for this mayor. In the past, he's called on the Air Force to prevent rain during the parades on Russia's Victory Day in May and Moscow's City Day in September, using the same cloud seeding methods. Of course, the problem with any attempt at modifying the weather is that it's hard to know what effect you have, if any, from the intervention. It is at least theoretically possible that relatively small shower-producing clouds could be induced to rain themselves out early by adding chemicals. But this approach is really not suitable for the kinds of widespread, layered, persistent clouds that are typical of big winter storms. The mayor of Moscow does say that he'll only try this plan a few times, just for the really big storms. The idea is that the money spent on weather modification will be less than what they would have had to spend on snow removal. Let's just say I'm a bit skeptical. Paul is back with the extended forecast next.